This discussion is exclusively meant for the students of second sem whose method subject is English. That means today we will discuss Unit 3 of Course 7A and the topic is teaching prose. Dear students, before going to the discussion directly, I hope all of you have locked yourself down in your home and all are safe by the grace of Almighty. However, I also believe that you have not locked yourself up mentally and intellectually. In these hard times, we should rather introspect and find out ways to master our skills so that in near future when we will become teachers we will then be able to teach English language to our students. In my last discussion, we have discussed the ways in an elaborate manner how to introduce a poem to the students of class 10 or students of class 8, say for example, whose mother tongue is other than English. You have also demonstrated that skill in your classroom performance. Today we will discuss about teaching prose, how or in what manner it is different from a poem. Now, while discussing about prose quite logically, a difference between a poem and a prose will come into our mind. So as we have already discussed about poem, we know that a poem is primarily read not for its meaning, rather for the wave of music it creates. There is rhythm, a poem is written in meter. These are certain differences that makes a poem different from a prose piece. And now coming to the prose, a prose is basically written in a language which we normally speak, which we normally talk about. And now, when we are talking about prose, there will be two main subheadings. First, there will be the varieties of prose, and the other is the forms of prose. The first subheading is varieties of prose, and we all know that they are actually descriptive prose, narrative prose, expository prose, and we have also discussed about these things in our first semester class. And now as for forms of prose, once again there will be two broad categories. The other is fictional and the other will be, non-fictional. And once again, fictional will be divided into two broad categories, short story and novel. And as we are dealing with students of West Bengal board basically, so short story will come up in our discussion. And in the non-fictional category, once again there will be some subdivisions. They are just like later. This is very common writing. We often give our students later. There is also travel accounts, essay, biographies and autobiographies, diary writing, speech, etc. And now, while teaching prose, you should always remember that we have to be student-centric. In case of poem, when you are introducing a poem, you are actually reading the poem before the students. There is intonation, how the poem is actually, you are uttering the poem before the students, they will follow you. But in case of prose, there is no such kind of thing. Therefore, you must be student-centric while introducing a prose before the students. In other words, Students should be consciously involved in the process of reading and learning. And now, for our understanding in a very easy manner, we will take 3 steps while introducing the prose page to the students. The first one is you should ask the students to read the lines of the text. That means they will read the text by themselves so that they can understand the very basic meaning of the sentences. Okay. Then we will ask them for close reading, where they will read between the lines. Mind it, at first they were just reading the sentences correctly, and then they are reading between the lines. And now the third one, which is actually of very important to us, because the prose pieces, the poems which are included into our syllabus, with course of time we will forget them. But what we will carry forward is the message we learn from them. That means in this portion we will encourage the students that the text which was the reading was just like a window, and now they are looking outside. They are able to see the world and human life, which can be known just by reading beyond the lines. Okay? So once again I am repeating the 3 steps. First, read the lines of the text. First, the students will read the lines in a fluent manner. After gaining the fluency, they will read between the lines to find out the inner meanings. If there is any kind of personification, metaphor, pun, or such kind of things, and then they will try to understand the basic meaning. For example, often we give texts of Aesop's fables, and after reading the story, the students get a moral. So that moral is a single sentence, but that is actually giving them the window to see and judge things which is outside the text. So this is for today's lesson. Once again, I will request you to stay safe and be safe.